Welcome back to Miss Bella's classroom. Today in class we're going to be talking about using articles when you're writing or talking. So articles are words like a, an, this, the, that, those, all. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about when you need to use the articles a, an, and the. And it may seem like a small detail, but it will really improve your writing if you use these correctly. So, we're going to talk about the indefinite article a. Okay, and indefinite just means that it's not specific. Okay, so I might say a new car. So it's not a specific car. Okay, so indefinite means not specific. Definite means specific. Okay, so if you know the car that you want, be specific. Indefinite means not specific. So when you use an indefinite article a, you're using indefinite article a, it refers to a singular count noun, okay, and what that means is it's only one thing. So I might say something like this cat or that cat, so it means only one item, okay? So indefinite article, when we're using this a, we want to do it with a singular count noun, okay? So it means not more than one. Whereas a plural count would mean using something like saying like these or those or all or some. So indefinite article a is for singular count nouns, okay? So when we think of this a, we want to think of one, okay? And so I might say I need to buy a new car, okay? So I need to buy a new car refers to one, and it's not a specific car. So when you use a, it's not two specific things, and it's only for one thing. So not and okay. So it doesn't refer to a specific car, just that you need to buy one, okay? I might say I'm looking for a dog, okay? So a here, it refers to a non-specific dog. I'm looking for a dog, and it's only one dog. So when we use a, we only want to say it for one thing, okay? And another time that you're going to want to think about this is, we usually don't say, I need to buy one car, I'm looking for one job. That would indicate that you're emphasizing the number, one and only one. So if I say I'm looking for a pet, that means I'm looking for any non-specific pet. So I wouldn't want to say I'm looking for one pet, because that would mean that you're only looking for one specific pet, okay? Or I'm looking for one car, would mean you're only looking for one type of car, okay? So when you are using the indefinite article for the first time, so using a for the first time you mention an object, then use the definite article the for all later references in the same conversation or writing, okay? So for example, I might say, I went to a Greek restaurant last night. So, what I mean by this is, it says, I went to a Greek restaurant last night. So the first time that I mentioned the object, the Greek restaurant, I used the indefinite article a. And then after that, I switched to the, okay? So I wouldn't say, I went to a Greek restaurant last night, a restaurant was very good, because I know now that I'm talking about the Greek restaurant. Okay, so I'm going to switch this a to the. The only time I'm using the a is when I first introduce my object. Okay. I'll give you another example of that. So I saw a dog on my way home. Okay. A dog was black and white. So once again, when you're mentioning an object for the first time, you're going to want to use a. Okay, so I saw a dog. The dog that I'm mentioning right away is dog. This one. And then once I use it again, I'm going to use the word the. Okay. Okay, so you're also going to use the indefinite article, so meaning it's not a specific thing, to refer to a person's profession most of the time, okay? So I might say, she used to be a doctor. So I use the word a because I'm referring to someone's profession, okay? Or he wants to be a lawyer. Okay, so I'm using a because I'm talking about someone's profession, okay? But when you're talking about a specific doctor or a specific lawyer, you're going to use the. So I might say something like, I went to see the doctor. So I'm talking about a specific doctor that I saw. The doctor. Okay. To the doctor. Or I could say, the lawyer I talked to was. Okay, so when you are talking about a specific person about their profession, you use that. When you're talking about just a doctor or a lawyer, you'll use a. Okay, so it's not specific. Okay, so we talked about a. Another indefinite article we're going to talk about today is an. And once again, indefinite means it's not specific, okay? And not specific. So it's the same rules as we just talked about for a, but it is only used before nouns beginning with vowel sounds, okay? Which may be different from the spelling, okay? So I might say something like an umbrella. Okay. So at the beginning of umbrella, it has a vowel sound. So you would use and, okay? Or you would use an, okay? And this is where it gets tricky though. It's only the sound, okay? So if I wanted to use a university, university begins with a Y sound, so I would use a. So you're only looking at the sound, not the actual letter that it starts with, okay? So if I had a hotel begins with a H sound, so we're going to use a. But an hour begins with hour, the H is silent, okay? So we're going to use an. So we're using an when it's non-specific and it's a vowel sound. So if I had the word elephant and huge elephant, it's going to switch, okay? So elephant begins with elephant, so it's a vowel sound. So I would say I saw an elephant. A huge elephant would be a, because the huge sound would be an huge. It's a huge. When you use an and I, you're going to want to think about the sound of the word. So before we go on to that, we're going to do some practice with this, okay? Okay, so we're going to sort the words, and we're going to decide would we use an A or an before that word, okay? So I have the word lion. Would you use a or an? begins with a consonant sound. Okay, when you use and, you want to begin with a vowel sound. Okay, apple. And good. So I would say an apple. I ate an apple for a snack this morning. Okay. Student. Do you use a student or an student? Good. A student. Okay. Let's do animal. An animal. Good. Okay. Movie. A movie. Good. Okay. Right. Let's do pencil. Good. A pencil. Good. Okay, let's do egg. Egg would be an egg. Ate an egg for breakfast. Okay, let's do one more. Ostrich. Good. An ostrich. Very good. Okay, so when we use a, we're putting the A before a consonant, okay? A non-specific consonant. And when we use and, we're putting it before a word that starts with a vowel, okay? Or sounds like a vowel. It doesn't always have to be a vowel, like in the word hour, you use an. Okay, so now that we've talked about a and an, we're going to talk about the definite article, the. So definite means that it's specific. So you're using it for nouns in the following example. So you might say, so there's different times you're going to use the, and there's a lot of rules for this. So the first time you might use the is when a specific count noun is identified, or it is clear which specific noun is being referred to. Okay, so it just means that a specific singular count. So I might say the house next to mine is for sale. Okay, so I'm using that. It's a specific noun that's been identified. Okay, so you want to use it when it's specific. Okay. And once again, you're using it the first time you mention an object to your listener. After you've introduced the object, then you'll use the definite article. So you're going to use the indefinite article like a house, and then I would say the house. Okay. So let me give you an example of that written down. So I might say, I went to a new restaurant last night. Okay, so when you're writing down, you're introducing a new object, you're going to use a, and then you're switching over to the definite, which is the. So the Okay. So when we have a sentence and we're introducing a new noun, we're going to use a. That's the indefinite. And we're switching over to the definite article, the restaurant, because it's the specific restaurant that we know of now. Okay. So another time that you might use that is as a superlative. So when I say the best or the most expensive, or the funniest. Okay, so it's meaning that it is the most. Okay, or you might use it with the phrases with one of, some of, many of, or all of. So I might say one of the reasons, or all of the people, or I might say many of the cars. And another time that you're going to use that is when you have ordinal numbers or phrases. So I might say the first, or the third, or the next, or the last. So when you have ordinal numbers or phrases, you're going to want to use that. Another time when you're going to want to use the word the is when there's only one, or it is obvious which one is meant. So, for example, the sun, or the moon. So there's only one. Okay. Another time when you'll use that is when there's a public place doing business. So I might say the store, or the bank, or the library. Okay. And then tourist attractions as well. So except for lakes. So tourist attractions, monuments, bodies of water. So I might say the Eiffel Tower, or the museum, or the Statue of Liberty. Or the Red Sea, or the Mississippi, but you wouldn't say the Lake Erie, you would just say Lake Erie. Okay. So we talked about definite article that, which is specific, and we talked about indefinite a and. We're also going to talk about when you don't need an article. Okay, so you're not going to use a, the, or an. So when you're talking about abstract nouns like love, happiness, justice, peace, education. When you're speaking about those concepts generally, you're not going to want to use them. So, for example, I might say, I have to go to work, okay? Or I am going to church. So with these sentences, because I have to go to work, so you're also not going to want to use an article with certain concept words like home, work, school, college, church. So you wouldn't say I have to go to the work or I have to go to a work. You just say I have to go to work. Same with church. I'm going to church. You wouldn't say I'm going to the church. You just say I'm going to church. Unless you're talking about a specific physical place, okay? So if I was specifically talking about a school, I would say the school is across the street from my house. Okay, so the only time I'm using it with words like work, church, school, college, home is when it's specifically known what it is, okay? Another time that you're not going to want to use an article is when you're saying plural nouns when they're referring to general items, okay? However, you're going to want to use a definite article when referring to specific items, okay? So for example, if I said, I need to buy chairs for my dining room table. Okay, so here we have the word chairs. It's general, okay, so it was a general item, chairs. But if I make it specific for the chairs, the chairs I want to buy are too expensive. Okay, so here you say I need to buy chairs for my dining room table. I didn't use an article. Okay, so chairs are not specific. They're any chairs, general chairs. But these chairs are not general, they're specific, okay? Because I'm saying the chairs I want to buy are too expensive. And another time you're not going to use an article is when you're talking about languages, ethnicities, or nationalities. So if I said I speak Spanish, I'm not going to say I speak the Spanish or I speak a Spanish. I just say I speak Spanish. Or I say he is Greek. I'm not going to say he is a Greek. I'm just going to say he is Greek. And then another example of this when you're not using an article are for countries. So except when the name refers to a group of something such as the United States or the Netherlands. So you're not using it for countries, states, provinces, counties, lakes, or mountains. So I would say Poland, Alabama, Lake Michigan. And then the last time you're not using an article is when discussing generally about non-count items. So I like Indian food. I wouldn't say I like the Indian food. I'm just saying I like Indian food. it's not specific. And when referring to a specific or known quality, you're going to use the definite article. So when you say, I like Indian food, you're not using an article. But when you say, the Indian food I had yesterday was not good, so that's the specific food, so you're going to want to use the definite article. And I don't like cold weather, so I'm not using an article, a, an, or the. But when I say the weather, I'm talking about specific weather, was supposed to be warm today, I'm going to use the word the. And then I need to buy milk, I'm not using an article for milk. But when I'm talking about specific milk, I'm going to say the milk I just bought is spoiled. And then I don't have time to wait, I'm not using an article. But when I know it's specific, the time passed very quickly, I'm going to use an article. Okay? So, thinking about what we talked about today, when you use a or an, it's going to be for singular nouns, okay? And it refers not to a specific object, but refers generally to an object, okay? So for a, and for a, you're using it with beginning consonant sounds, okay? And then an, you're using it for sounds that start with a vowel, okay? So, thank you for learning with me today. I hope that this helps you use a, an, and the, and knowing when to use them and not to use them. I will see you all later. Goodbye.